with everyone rise and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. This time I'd like to take a motion to dispense with the full meeting. Thank you everyone for coming out to, I'm sorry, is there a vote?
Everybody in favor say aye.
Thank you. And everyone in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Sorry, I don't normally do this, I'm just filling in for this evening. Again, thank you everyone for coming out to this special event. This is SEPTA's the Many Faces of Education series. This is the second event in the series. We'll have another event in the future. First of all, let me explain. The restrooms are in the back corner. There's refreshments here that will be available. Hopefully everyone signed in. If you didn't sign in, please at the end of the evening sign in. And if anyone is interested in joining SEPTA, you can get information in the back. Our future topics, in case anyone's interested, is in April we'll be doing a candidates night. In May we'll do a continuation of the Many Faces of Education. All school representatives will be invited back, and we'll just do a moderated public question and answer session. It won't be any formal presentations, so that's what we plan for May. In June we'll be having talks on the U.S. and Pennsylvania State Constitution. For your information, the event tonight will be video recorded, and you can watch it if you go to www.epcat.us. You'll be able to find the videos there. Again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out. This evening we have from the East Penn School District, Dr. Seidenberger. From the Lehigh County Technical Institute, Miss Elsie Bell. From 7th Generation, we have Ms. Susan File. And representing homeschooling would be Paulette Ladenberg. The evening we're going to go to, or the order we'll go to, is Ms. Bell will start off. We'll do a 30-minute total, 20 minutes for presentation, 10 minutes for question and answer. If the presentation ends early, we'll just move right into question and answer. So if you'd like.
I'll give you the yellow flag if you are 18 minutes. You have 2 minutes before the red flag.
I'm sorry, I forgot one thing. At the end of the meeting, we'll have some information, about 5 to 10 minutes from Janice Bowman. We'll give some information, and if you don't mind, I'd like to give 1 minute real quick for Joe Hilliard from Leadership for Liberty to just make an announcement.
Sure. Yeah, just Leadership for Liberty, it's .org. It's a new organization. We also are forming what's called the Pennsylvania School Board Coalition. What we're doing is networking activists and school board members throughout the valley, and hopefully further to compare information. We have a breakfast on March 31st. There's a flyer over there with some information. The main topic is going to be the formation of the Pennsylvania School Board Coalition and understanding your school district budget. I have an engineering background, and it always baffled me why these governments have these really simple budgets. And there's a reason for that, so you can't understand them. We've cracked the code. We understand all the account coding Harrisburg requires. Some school districts are reluctantly starting to provide this information to the public and school boards. Others, not so much, but we're going to keep pressuring them until they do, because obviously if you understand the details of the budget, you understand the high-level numbers, and we can start talking about common sense spending cuts. So please come out on March 31st, $20, buffet breakfast. It's going to be very knowledgeable, a lot of knowledge, and if you really want to start impacting local government, get involved with this program. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Then let's move right into the presentation. Go right ahead.
Good evening, and
You can just pick the mic right out of the stand.
good evening, and thank you for asking Lehigh Current Technical Institute to join you this evening. My name is Elsie Bell, and I'm the Director of Curriculum and Instruction at LCTI. And on behalf of Mrs. Sandra Himes, who is our Executive Director, I bring greetings. She was unable to attend this evening, so you have me this evening. I'd like to talk a little bit about our school so that you get a background of some of the things that we're doing at LCTI, and then at the end of the presentation, you certainly may ask some questions. To start off, our mission at Lehigh Career and Technical Institute, we're here to prepare all students for successful careers and lifelong learning. In today's world, no matter what you get into as far as a career, it does always require continuous learning. Of course, our vision is to make sure that we provide that career and technical education in a very nurturing environment so that our students will progress. And as you can see, there's our vision statement. Now, just a little bit of history. If you recall, early in the 60s and 70s, within the Lehigh Valley, it was dominated by the steel industry. And that really has gone away, and we also saw 1 out of 2 people were working in the manufacturing. Today, when we look at the Lehigh Valley, look at the demographics, we see that 1 out of 4 are in the healthcare industry, and 1 out of 6 people are in manufacturing. The face of manufacturing has changed quite a bit, and we are now seeing a lot of smaller manufacturing come into the valley, and I think, from what we can tell, that will continue as new people move in to grow their businesses in the county. 1 out of 3 people in Pennsylvania, 1 out of 3 jobs in Pennsylvania are created in the Lehigh Valley. And this comes to us from our WIB, which is the Workforce Investment Board. However, the jobs of yesterday have changed, and they're not the same as they had been. What they do is they require a highly skilled workforce. And that's something that Lehigh Career and Technology Institute really specializes in, and that's creating that highly skilled workforce. How do we do it? Well, we have 9 school districts that are part of our consortium. And as you can see, the 9 are listed, and you see East Penn School District is one of those 9 that we all work together, and Lehigh Career and Technical Institute, LCTI, is your school. It belongs to all of the 9 school districts within Lehigh County. We are a public school, but we are a consortium school, so the benefit of that is we can offer highly skilled, highly technical careers for students and do it economically and do it so that students have a wide range of opportunities throughout the county. We have a modern state-of-the-art facility. We're probably one of the most premier career and technical schools, not only in the state, but in the nation. We've had folks from all over the United States come to tour our facility. We've had people from all various parts of the world to come and see what we're doing at LCTI. We have approximately 50 career and technical programs that we offer to students, and they're offered to your students as well. And within our school, we have about 78 career and technical teachers and 30 academic teachers. We have many, many different options, and I'll get into that in a little bit more. We, of course, have the support services that we need with guidance counselors, and also we have special education teachers that help with our IEP students so that we can provide them the services that they need to be successful. Another aspect that I think you'd be interested in is that we do have an adult education component, and we realize in these tough times we have to be entrepreneurial in what we do. This component of LCTI is a separate budget item, and it has its own budget and its own staff, but a lot of times that would create revenue that we can then put right back into the school. So it does help our schools to sustain what we're doing within our facility, but it's not costing the school districts anymore. So that, when I talk about being entrepreneurial, there are many things that we do, customized training and all kinds of things for business and industry. What are some of the options that we have at LCTI? PTI, we're available to students throughout the county, 9th through 12th grade. And we have a couple of different options that students can take. They can become traditional career and technical students, where they would come to us on a half day. We've had students that have come for just a few periods a day because they can't be a half-day student, so we flex, what we call flex time. We also have an academic center where students come to us for their academics, and then they come and then they stay and have their career and technical, but then they still graduate from their sending school. So if a student came from Emmaus, they would still graduate from East Penn. We also have a school within a school. We have an alternative ed program for at-risk students so that we can help them build their career, but also help them with some of the behaviors that have prevented them from being successful in their school before coming to us. If you look at some of the other demographics, we do have about 32% of our students are Hispanic, 8% are African American, and then we do serve a population of 54% of our students that are economically disadvantaged. We really provide a wide range of opportunities for a wide range of students. Now, if you take a look at how our school district is funded, and I'm not the expert on this, so please understand that we do have a business and who's our financial person at our school, and our executive director, which is where both of them are this evening, presenting their budget to one of our sending school districts. But when we receive our funding, we get a proportion from our member school districts, and that's based on the proportionate share based on tax assessed value. And so that's part of the state tax equalization board. And then if we do any kind of construction project, which we had done a few years ago, 50% of the construction costs then are reimbursed through the state. Now, this is the typical CTE school funding and our operational costs. We get approximately 5% from the federal government. We do receive Perkins funding, which is the Carl D. Perkins, and that stream of funding comes from the feds directly to the state, and then it gets, the allotment comes to all the career and technical schools throughout the state. And we receive approximately 10% in state subsidy. And then we also get 85% of our, from our member school districts. And again, that's the district share based on the ADMs, which is the average daily membership, which would be the attendance, and the percentage of the total. And I know that's based on a 5-year average. We've had over $4 million in state and federal grants that we've been able, we're very aggressive in what we do with our grants, and have gotten a lot of, annually, we receive a lot of great grants that help us provide the professional development that we do, and some of those services that really are the nice to have, those usually come from our grants. And then what I did talk about little bit was the entrepreneur accounts. Not only do we receive the money from adult ed, but sometimes some of our programs, which we call production programs, do make enough within their accounts to sustain, for instance, some of their consumables. So, for instance, Culinary Arts operates a restaurant, so some of that funding then goes right back into their labs. So if the production labs make any kind of money, then it can go right back into helping their programs. Now, what this shows is something that we've been looking at for a long time, and this is how we see ourselves. Now, you know, this might not be how everyone does, but you take a look at the top and you see that it shows the workforce development. And that's something that we feel is very, very important. Workforce development helps the economy. So the stronger that you have a workforce, the more educated the workforce is, it'll be a much better economic development. When you have good economic development, then that provides, wherever you are, it provides a better tax base. That tax base can then enhance the schools so that then you have better schools. And then when the schools have what they need, it also provides better education. And then it goes right back into the workforce. And we have story after story of students that have been successful leaving LCTI and are now giving back not only to the Lehigh Valley workforce, but they're also starting to give back. They're also giving back to LCTI. Now, the labor market analysis, what we've tried to do at LCTI, that's something that is very unique to career and technical education opposed to the traditional schools that we serve, is that we determine what we're going to offer based on the workforce. We're a direct reflection of our community. So what is happening in the community really drives what we offer at LCTI. We look at what's the targeted industry within Pennsylvania, and then also what's the targeted industry within the Lehigh Valley, and that's what we have to be offering our students. So we're on a constant cycle of looking at, do we keep this program in place? Do we continue with the program, or do we look to find another program in its place? So, through the years, we've cycled out programs, and through the years, we've been able to start some very high-tech programs such as mechatronics, nanofabrication. We've also been able to put in some high-tech health programs, but then some of the things have left us through the years as well. But what we're trying to do is provide the Lehigh Valley with that critical workforce. We focus on national and state standards. What we'd like to do is have our students all leave us with some type of credential. We also provide them with many opportunities for post-secondary education. We have over 40 different articulations that students, depending on the course that they get into, they can articulate up to 30 credits with a post-secondary, which is also money saving for our students. Our students take an end-of-program test, which tests how they've done within their career and technical program, and then they receive a credential that shows that they've been proficient or advanced on the end-of-program test. But at LCTI, it's all about programs, programs, programs. The stronger we make our programs, the better we provide the technology that students need. The better the programs are, the better it is for the economy. And I'll go through this quickly, we do have quite an extensive curriculum model that really takes in all of these facets. And what we try to do, our curriculum is, and that's what's happening tonight at LCTI, we have an occupational advisory council where we have business and industry folks. They meet with us twice a year to review our curriculum, to review all the facilities, to review safety, to review equipment, and they advise us. So when I say we're a direct reflection of the community, this is some of the way that we really work with our community. But you can see our curriculum, really we address all of these issues when we develop our curriculum. This just shows the curriculum model and some of the components, but rest assured when your students come to LCTI, they are offered a standard state-of-the-art curriculum. And I can say that because I'm the curriculum director. So I know that there is a lot of, it's a very high quality curriculum just because of the system that we have. And it's not just my opinion, it's been validated by the state, it's been validated by our Occupational Advisory Council. Okay, that just talks a little bit about why would we want to standardize, why, if you teach auto mechanics, we have 4 auto mechanics teachers, they all teach the same curriculum. They're all looking at the same task list. They all use the same learning guides, and they all come to consensus on what it is that they should teach based on the advisory council. And we feel that it's best practices in career and technical education. It ensures that all the content is addressed. We can't afford to be teaching anyone what's nice to know. We have to be teaching what's needed, what kids need to know, because that's what our economic future depends upon. We also don't want teachers hobby teaching. You know, some teachers are stronger in other areas, but we really have a very prescriptive curriculum that teachers need to be giving to our students. The role of business and industry, and I think I've talked a little bit about that with the advisory council. We do a lot with the local Lehigh Valley Workforce Investment Board. They serve on our board, our advisory board, and we also serve on theirs. So that's a close relationship, so that you know we are definitely working to, as I said, to be a reflection of the community. This just shows you some of the businesses and industries that we've worked with, and we're continually working with them. And a lot of them have provided in-kind gifts, labor. They've also provided a lot of grants and also equipment. So by having those relationships, and that's what we do best, we have a lot of wonderful relationships, and these business and industry have all given back to LCTI because they reaped in the benefits of having some wonderful students. Now, I just would like to show you a picture speaks 1,000 words. This is a 3-minute.
Hi, my name is Jessie Hyman, and welcome to LCTI. Students at LCTI do amazing things every day. They're earning college credits and scholarships, becoming certified in the field, and building successful careers. We specialize in the real-world, hands-on approach to education using state-of-the-art technology. LCTI is one of the nation's largest career and technical schools, offering 37 different career technical programs with state-of-the-art technology and equipment in every lab. Our school is organized in 4 different areas of study or clusters: the Arts and Humanities cluster, commercial photography and electronic imaging, advertising design and commercial art. We have more than 2,800 students from 9 separate schools. The business and communication technology cluster, marketing and business education, administrative office technology and accounting, print technology and graphic imaging, web design and web programming, and marketing and business technology. We have great working relationships with our separate schools, as well as the region's industry leaders, ensuring that our curriculum is up to date and our students need the skills they need. The engineering and industrial technology cluster, electromechanical and electronic technology, electronics, electrical technology, electronic technology and data fabrication, heating and conditioning and refrigeration, HVAC, heavy equipment operation and preventive maintenance, heavy machine, landscape construction and environmental design, welding technology, precision machine tool technology, cabinet making and mower, carpentry, plumbing and heating, automatic collision, auto technology, diesel, truck technology, and automatic small assets and items. Re-engineering and engineering for you college credits while you're still in high school. In addition to career technical training, we offer dual enrollment, internships, job shadowing, and much more. And finally, the health and youth services cluster. We have a health occupations program. When you're a senior, you can enter the emerging health professionals program, where you can earn college credits. Our cosmetology students run a full-service salon. The early care and education program has an on-site daycare facility. Students can learn floral design and greenhouse management, dental technology, commercial baking, and my favorite, culinary arts. LCTI has 3 different attendance options. The full day option allows students to have all day and academic segment. Most of our students take advantage of a half-day golden option, where our students spend half of the day in their second school, and the other half of the day in the chosen program. We also have flex time, where students can come to LCTI for as little as 1 hour a day to get career technical training. Our students are prepared for their future, whether that means going to a 2 or 4-year college or going right into the workforce. We know that you have a lot of options when it comes to education, and we hope that you'll consider the numerous opportunities available at LCTI. If you're interested in more information about the programs we offer, come visit us at lcti.org.
2 things. I do have a fact sheet that's over there, and you're welcome to take one that gives you some of the more details about some of the things I discussed. And the second thing is I would be happy to have any of you come up to our school, and you're more than welcome to take a tour, and all you have to do is give us a call and we'll make the arrangements. But anyone is welcome, and you can certainly have lunch in our restaurant, get your hair done. You know, there are all kinds of things that you can do at LCTI. Now, I would entertain any questions if anyone has any for me at this time. Yes, sir.
First, I think technical education is very important, so I applaud what you do, but I think over the last few years, as we're all reassessing how everything's structured, you mentioned state and federal grants, and I'm just wondering if you would acknowledge that the state and federal grants, since every community gets all kinds of state and federal money, that basically that's not free money, that's money out of our taxpayer pockets in Lehigh County. In fact, we give it to the state and federal government, there's administration and overhead charges, so we're giving them money, we only get reallocated a portion back to fund programs like this. And I just think it's real important to start changing the language and the dialogue and the perception of this whole structure. So, I mean, you obviously deal with a lot of grant programs, and I don't want to get the argument, any kind of argument if they're worthwhile or not, but would you acknowledge that that is indeed the case?
Well, I didn't create the system.
Right.
I just have spent, my whole life working in this system. So, I really don't have really much that I can say because I'm not the power that controls any of that. So, it's what I've been dealt, so that's what I do. And, work with, yes, I'd love to have things a little bit different than what they are, but it's, not up to this one individual standing here.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Just wondering where you're located.
We're in Schnecksville, so if you travel straight up 309, it's about 9 miles, I guess, north of Allentown. So we're co-located where L-Tri-C, so you turn left at Education Park Drive, and then you make the very next left, and that takes you into our back 4 parking lots. Yes, ma'am. It depends, I think, on, if I recall, because I did research this, it depends on the individual school districts. So you would have to contact your school district as to how they handle it, and, maybe, okay. But we do accept students from other counties on a tuition basis as well. So anyone, if they want to pay that tuition, are welcome to attend if we have room. And that would come from the sending schools. However they handle it, we would. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Thank you. And yes. I don't know. I'm sorry. As I said, I'm not the business manager, and I would hate to even harbor a guess and then tell him tomorrow and he'd yell at me. So I don't even know what it is.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
One thing I forgot to mention, I'll mention now, please keep your questions related to the topic that's being discussed this evening by the speaker, and if we, could keep them short, not make any political statements, if we could just stick right to questions. Our next speaker will be Dr. Seidenberger. You need the
No, I took brought a handout, maybe you put it on the table. People don't. That's what
I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I have a cold, and excuse me if I sound a little nasal and a little halting. I've got a question, and I'll answer that question, so I don't want to look like I'm avoiding it. There are 2 kinds of cyber schools.
Would you repeat the question?
So the question was, if a student is involved in a cyber high school, can they participate in LCPI? The answer is yes, if you're part of our cyber high school I'm going to talk about. We will gladly customize, and maybe that's a jumping off point for us. We're in the 2nd year of what we call the East Penn Cyber Learning Program. Right now, our program is serving about 30 students, and one of the things we found out with cyber students is they have a lot of fluctuation, a lot of things change in their life, and consequently a lot of students come and go. in cyber programs. That's not atypical. But one of the things that we wanted to do in looking at the landscape of online learning was to create a program that people in the community could feel connected to us. And I think maybe I'll start with the rationale. We have been talking about this as superintendents for, and this is my second superintendency in Pennsylvania, I think about 10 years ago when Cybers first started, the infamous Einstein School. When I was the superintendent in Chester County at Avon Grove, we got together superintendents from Bucks County, Montgomery County, and Chester County and started the 21st century cyber school. That was the first initial cyber endeavor run by a public school system in Pennsylvania. Now there are several that are coming on board. And I think you're going to have to go pretty far and wide in Pennsylvania not to see individualized local public school districts not getting involved in the cyber business to some degree. And I'll talk about that later on. So let me lead you to where we are right now. In conversations, unfortunately, two of my colleagues are no longer in business. Louise Donahue, Superintendent Parkland, has retired. Joe Liberati unfortunately passed away in Southern Lehigh. And Jack Corby, Superintendent at Whitehall. We got together about 2.5 years ago, and we were investigating opportunities for starting our own cyber high schools. One of the things we admitted right off the bat was we didn't think we had the capabilities to run a program and match some of the other commercial entities statewide. And one of the first things always is admitting what you can do and what you can't do. So we scoured the state, and a lot of us had gone to conferences, to conversations. We found a company out of Pittsburgh called VLN, Virtual Learning Network. And so we offered a consortium to all of our colleagues, but Parkland, East Penn, Southern Lehigh, and Whitehall got together, and we developed some ground rules with VLN. We negotiated for the better part of 6 months with VLN. And so here's what the program entails. One of the things we wanted to constitute was making sure our programs matched what we're offering in our bricks and mortar high schools. So, all the courses offered in the East Penn cyber program and in Parkland, Whitehall, and Southern Lehigh's programs, those curriculums are written by our teachers. And we made a pact among ourselves that our teachers, representatives of Parkland, East Penn, Southern Lehigh, Whitehall, would write the curriculum. We did not want to buy a commercial product. We did not want to pull courses off the shelves. We wanted to make sure that the courses we were offering had the same rigor as the bricks and mortar. So every course that's been written and offered has been written by teachers from those 4 high schools. And that was very important because in our efforts then to individually connect with students in our 4 districts, one of the things that we found when we interviewed a lot of students was that there was unfortunately a total disconnect with the community and the high school in general. And so, with our program, what we've been able to do and what we think is going to be a good selling point coming in the years to come rather, students who participate in the East Penn Learning program, cyber program, are enrolled in Emmaus High School. And there are some nice features with that. First of all, if you're into proms and dances, you can go to the prom. We consider you to be a full-time student in our high school. You're invited to participate in any extracurricular activity that you want. In fact, all cyber students and all charter school students are welcome. But if our students go through and complete their high school requirements through our program, those students will be able to graduate, walk in graduation, and receive an East Penn High School diploma. We think that is certainly a gold standard diploma and again, a high value for parents. One of the things we found out interviewing, and we have right now, about 108 students who participate in other cyber high schools and 17 special ed students who participate. And first year we wrote letters to each one of those families and asked them to come in for a chat. And I'm pleased to tell you about them. We had an opportunity to speak to about 45 of the families. And one of the things we found out right off the bat is there is no pattern. There is no one single reason why a parent and their student will pick a cyber school. Some of you are in my age, I'm in the 60s, and remember that TV show called The Naked City? There were 8 million stories? We found out that just about every student who's involved in the cyber program has a unique set of circumstances. Whether it is they're involved in some high-level athletic program, like the parquets, or a swimming program, or golf, and then these students want to practice their craft, and then they like to have the freedom to take their coursework whenever they want to. Some of the other reasons, some students have some natural fears of coming to high school phobias, and just don't do well in bricks and mortar high school. Other students have jobs. Other students have very different family situations. So what we like to believe is that we're flexible with each one of these families and give them an opportunity to still participate in Emmaus High School. So let's get to the fundamentals. We have 30 kids. What does it cost? It costs us $4,200 for each kid. And we pay a $16,000 a year management fee to VLN. So what do we get in return? Well, here's what a student, if you enroll with us, here's what a student gets. They get a laptop computer, not a high-engine Apple, kind of a fundamental, and I think it's worth about $450 now. They also get a 3-in-1 office machine. For those who have Hewlett Packard printers, you know what I'm talking about. Fax machine, to scanner, and to printer. We do not pay for cable access, and we do not pay for internet access, nor do we pay for modems. And the family is on the hook. If they sign a form, a contract, and if for some reason the student leaves, we go collect our property back. If there's one downside, the first thing I'll tell you, if somebody wants to ask a question, what's the one negative? Well, we are, because of our contract, we buy sets of 10 at a time. Now, fortunately, we've used all of our allotment, but the first year, we were sweating a little bit that we might have had about 6 or 7 leftover units and we're just collecting dust. But that's one of the things we learned along, and I can tell you that will not be in our second contract with VLN if we make it that far with them. So that's one of the things we learned. Now, student gets enrolled, they get an ID badge. They're able to use the library, they're on school property, any and all of those activities. They're also eligible for guidance services. So a student is assigned a normal guidance counselor as if they would be in the high school, alphabetical by grade level, and they'll have that counselor for all 4 years. The other thing, excuse me, students would receive, working for Mrs. Picarik's department, all eligible special ed services if they are entitled to, in other words, if they have an IEP, just like they would be in Emmaus High School. So, we like that flexibility, we like that kind of invitation for parents to still feel a part of the high school. So we realize that the choice market is very competitive out there. So again, one of our primary goals is to make families feel that they're still connected with the bricks and mortar high school. And I will be upfront with you and honest with you. We still believe in our hearts that we think education is best served when a kid is in a bricks and mortar high school, at least to some degree of their day. And that is our overriding goal. We would like to create a program that's flexible enough that they will decide, maybe I want to come to high school for 2, 3 periods a day. We still think that socialization that students receive in high school is very, very important to being a functioning member of society. And we also advertise that we will personalize your education. So what happens? Student and family, we send out letters, and we'll be sending out our letters in a couple of weeks. We send them out annually. This will be the 3rd year we're sending them out to any students that's enrolled, excuse me, in one of the 12 other cyber programs in the state. And basically saying, here's our program, here's an outline. If you're interested, they make an appointment with us, they come in, sit down with a guidance counselor, and our goal is to make sure that the parents and the students have a clear path to graduation. And we would work with them to make sure that the coursework we lay out over, even if it's a junior, even if it's a senior coming in, that they have the right courses to graduate. One of the things we don't want to do is have a hassle come May and some family thinks they're going to graduate and now we have to give them the bad news. So we lay that out ahead of time. The other thing we do is we conduct an extensive interview with the family and the student. Not all students, unfortunately, are good candidates for cyber schools. That's the other thing we've learned. A lot of kids think they are. A lot of parents think they can do it. But as you're laughing, there's a lot, you know exactly what I'm saying. There's a lot of supervision. That parent has really got to step up and be willing to be a coach and make sure their kids are doing their work correct. I'm not telling you, that's right. Crack the whip. And so it takes a special kind of family to really nurture themselves in that environment. A lot of times kids get involved in cyber programs and they go dark. You don't know what that means, they go dark. We don't know where they are. They're in some land out there. But here's our program. We take attendance every day. And let me just tell you about a day in the life of a cyber kid in East Penn. First thing they do every morning is they check in. They log in, and we have the ability to make sure that they're online all the time, so we can track them, see if they're logged in. Each student is assigned a homeroom teacher, just like in high school. And that teacher forms a one-to-one relationship with that student and that family. And the first thing they do is plan the day. And that day may be very different. Some students may be taking coursework on the day, some may be working on research papers, some may be downloading videos, whatever that day would include. The homework teacher and the student make an agreement that that is what their academic day is going to look like that particular day. They're also given notices, information about a whole range of timely subjects. One of the things that we do is our cyber students, like all charter kids, no matter where you go, bricks and mortar, even Mrs. Fong, they have to take the PSSA standardized test scores. We do not allow students to take those tests at home, obviously. They've got to come to the high school. And we have teachers in our high school or aides supervising that test. Okay, so the kid's on his way or she's on his way during the day. Just like any other high school's attendance, there's quarterly marks. And we pay attention to these things. If we see a kid slacking off, we call the family and have a phone conversation. And we follow up if need be. Now, what kind of supports do we have in play? Well, you heard about our guidance counselors. Also, VLN has a high school principal. That person is in charge of all the VLN teachers. I apologize. The courses are taught by VLN personnel. The thing that differentiates us from some of the other cybers is that every VLN teacher is highly qualified and meets all certification requirements in Pennsylvania. We insisted on that. There are some cybers and some charters where there is a waiver and you only need a certain percentage of teachers who are certified in Pennsylvania. We do not allow that to happen. So a family would come in, they set up an appointment with a guidance counselor, they plan the schedule, we give them a plan. If there are textbooks involved, the families are given the textbooks free, like I don't know if we provided free textbooks for your family, but some of those are available. And then hopefully everything works out. And again, our goal, and we make no qualms about that, we would love for that student to come back to Mays High School at some time. So what are our future plans? Well, we're excited about the future, quite frankly. Again, our goal is to see if we can develop, and the commonality used to be a blended program. The state has changed the language now. It's called a hybrid. I guess it's a jazzy term. But our goal is to create hybrid opportunities where students can come to the high school, take part of their day right there physically in Mays High School, and then take some courses online. And our goal in the next 3 or 4 years is to offer those kind of solutions to all students, not only cyber students, but there are some students who may want to increase their workload, take some classes during the summer, we want to make those opportunities available for all kids. One of the things we haven't done, we have not gotten into the middle school market. Right now, quite frankly, our middle school numbers are low. Most of those 108 kids I talked about, I would say about 75 to 80% of those kids are in the high school. We do have about 3 or 4 kindergarten kids involved inside the program. That's the family's choice, that's their choice. We have no plans at this point for an elementary program. We just think the curriculums are so widespread, it would take us a lot of time and effort to develop online courses for an elementary program, and we certainly just don't have the resources at this point. Middle school's kind of iffy. We're talking about it, but nothing I can say for sure, nothing is going to happen next year, and probably not the year after. Now here's the good news, as I mentioned before. Again, as superintendents, we've been working on this problem for a long, long time. And not to compete with us, but rather to complement with us, the IU. The IU is going to open our own cyber program. We're not quite ready to make that transition. It makes sense in the long run. Their costs are just a little bit higher than us. It really doesn't have anything to do with cost. It's quality control. Their program will be a first-year program. They're going to, without denigrating, because it's a great idea, they're not going to have programs developed by local teachers. They're going to take some programs literally off the shelf and plug them in from a variety of vending sources. We're just a little uncomfortable with that, and I'd like to sit back and see how that goes. Right now, again, our reputation's on the line. This is our program. We want it to be our curriculum. So we'll wait and see. It certainly makes sense for us to join that program in the next 2 or 3 years. And I would say that my colleagues in Northampton, Northampton County, Monroe County, they're in the developmental stages, and just about every IU in the state is developing their own cyber option program. So our attitude, at least in Parkland, Southern Lehigh, and Whitehall, is going to be, let's see what happens over here. But I can tell you, districts that traditionally have not been in the market, Palmerton, Northern Lehigh, they're going to join. Northwestern Lehigh has had its own program for 2 or 3 years. So, and they're doing well. But we, and Elsie will tell you, we really work closely together, and not only with LCTI, but with other school districts. And again, if we can get all 9 districts on the same page, along with, excuse me, our colleagues from Jim Thorpe and Panther Valley and Lehighton, we'll certainly look to that in the future. But we're excited about our program. It's not easy sledding, as I said before. We really need to spend a lot of time with each family. We want to make sure it's the right choice for that family, and we're very realistic. This is a new market, and we're in it for the long haul. So, if anybody has any questions, I'll gladly answer. Yes.
You said the 4 participating school districts had teachers develop the courses.
Yes.
With BLN, are the
Teaches it.
teachers?
Yes.
They teach it. So are they given that curriculum?
Yes. Yes.
Are there textbooks for that?
Yes, there are. Remember I told you off the bat, we just did not have the expertise. Now, since that decision, we now have just about 90% of our teachers in East Penn are using Moodle, which is a whole variety of online education. And our teachers are all over the expertise spectrum. More and more teachers are getting confident with that. In fact, we're going to start this summer developing our own e-textbooks. We're going to get out of buying textbooks. Simply, it's a budget decision. Rather than spending $200,000 on textbooks, we're going to be developing our own and really getting into that market seriously. But to answer your question, we just didn't have the teachers trained. It takes another special person to connect distance. I mean, it's one thing to stand in front of a group of people and connect face to face. It's another thing to connect with the student, basically one-on-one. So VLN had experienced people. Believe me, we checked tapes, we went to visit. We felt very reassured that their people were good people, and we haven't heard any complaints from parents that the teachers have been ineffective. Again, our goal is gradually, I hate to say it, but our goal is really to sever our ties with VLN and develop our own homegrown programs as our teachers get up to snuff. And they are making the transition, but we're not going to put out a product that's not quality. I think that's where we are at this point. So if you have grandchildren, or your neighbors are interested, tell them to give us a call. We'll gladly spend as much time as we can with them. Hopefully they'll make the choice that East Penn diploma is very, very important to them. The connections we'll have with our students, they're part of that high school. So before they run out and join some other cyber school, tell them to stay home and take a look at us. And if they like us, great. If they don't, well, we'll respect that choice, and we're always here should it not work out for them at someplace else.
All right, next will be Ms. Flack. We'll just take 1 minute to connect the equipment here.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Susan File, and I am the CDO and Academic Director of Seven Generations Charter School down on Minor Street in Emmaus since May 23rd, 2011. So this evening I've been asked to come here and tell you a little bit about charter schools. So I'm going to let you know as much as I can about what I know. And charter schools are fairly new in our educational world, and I keep learning new things every day. Prior to coming to Seven Generations, I was in public schools in Rhode Island since 1986. And before that, I taught at St. Anne's in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania for 8 years. So I've been in the business a long time. And it's a wonderful business. Charter schools came on the scene in recent years as a means for people interested in public schools to have some choice. And so a charter school is a public school, non-sectarian, and it operates under an agreement called the charter. The charter for a charter school such as Seven Generations must be approved by the local school board. So the East Penn School Board, maybe some of you remember that. I've heard stories about a few years ago when the charter was approved. A virtual charter school or a cyber charter school is approved by the state. So that's a whole other world that I don't know much about. I only know about our real brick and mortar charter school, as they're called, that we go there every day and we interact with our students and our staff. Another piece of information about charter schools. They have a flexibility. We have authority. When I was a principal in a public school, no offense to Dr. Seidenberger, but as a principal sometimes I would get a little impatient with central office because we had to do whatever central office said, and I was in an urban district, and oh Jesus, only we could just do what we want. Well, once I came to 7 Gen, and we had our challenges, and I would think, oh, let me call central office. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. We are central office. So we have, that's pretty cool. It gives us some flexibility that other schools may not have, but it's also quite challenging. I say charter schools are not for the faint of heart. Kind of pioneers. We are a bit out of the box, and that's exciting, but it's also sometimes a little bit too exciting because we are kind of taking some risks and we are doing some things that maybe haven't been done before. Of course, we make sure that they're as safe as can be and that
they're pretty guaranteed to be successful, but it's still a little bit challenging at times. So the charter, which is a legal document, and it details what our mission is, what our programs are, and how we will make assessments, how we will have our finances in order, and how we will measure our success. So as Dr. Seidenberger said, this week our students are all working diligently on the Pennsylvania State Assessment, and just like any other public school. So pretty much we do what the public schools do, but in a bit of a different way. Now, an interesting part about charter schools that's really been pretty amazing to me is how we get our students. I don't know if any of you ever heard there was a documentary done called Waiting for Superman. And I had watched that, but recently I had experienced a real life lottery at our school. And it was pretty difficult to go through that. We, according to our charter, we can have 45 students at every grade level. And each year we add another grade. So right now we have kindergarten through 6th grade. We have in kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade, we have 3 classrooms, so there's 15 students in a class. And in 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, we have 2 classrooms, so there's either 22 or 23 students in a class. We are at full enrollment. We have 315 students, and we have a waiting list of about 120 some students for our school right now. But a few weeks ago, we did our enrollment for next school year. Since we don't have any openings, anyone that did apply for a grade level was enrolling just to be put on a wait list. However, because we're adding 7th grade and all our students will move up, we had 45 openings for kindergarten. So, by our charter, if the students' parents are founding members, or if their parent is a founding member, they get first dibs on any opening. There is an official list of, I think it's about 60 people that were involved in the long and laborious road of getting this charter school off the ground, which I can't even imagine the work involved in that. I've heard many, many stories. So of those founding members, I don't remember exactly how many of those 45 slots were filled by founding members. And then next on the list are siblings of children that are already in the school if they live in East Penn. And next on the list are siblings of children who are already in the school that aren't in East Penn. So once we got through those 3 categories, we had only 6 openings in kindergarten. So the only openings we had for our enrollment night were 6 openings in kindergarten. So for the, I should have brought the numbers, but we had something like 100 applicants for kindergarten. So 35 of them, 39, thank you, of them were filled, and the rest were trying for these 6 spots. That's what was sad. It was really strange because we had people at the table in all the different pots with the names of the applicants, and they would just draw the names out. And there were some people that came for this lottery. Not that that influenced whether or not they would get in. And it was, you know, as you pulled the names, and it was uncomfortable to look out in the audience. Now, someone who's here tonight, Mary Ellen Jackson, she's a parent at our school. She's also on our board of trustees, and she has 2 children in our school. And after that night, she was there helping. I said, you know, it was hard for me to tell who was who, and she told me about the night when her son got picked. And as excited as she was, she purposely didn't react because she didn't want the other people that were there to feel badly. So it was a very strange evening, and it was sad to say that everyone, you know, we did all the wait lists and for all the different grades. and, you know, we have to turn people down. That's really pretty sad. I didn't like that. I don't like that part, but maybe someday that will change. In the meantime, we do what we have to do because we're legally required to follow the charter. So we made this little graphic just to give you an idea. A charter school is open to any student who lives in the state. So if they, you know, apply and they get in, someone could travel from Pittsburgh. Now, we don't go quite that far. But these are the districts currently that are feeding into our school, and the numbers represent how many students. So from Allentown, we have 60